my cupboard and I saw all my shorts and I was like, yes, the time has come. It's finally short weather. I live for short weather. Yeah, it does make your mood a hell of a lot better. And it also makes your drams taste sweeter sometimes. I don't know.
If I could do this outside, I would. That would be cool.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe we should. But other than that, we are all good. I'm going to read. Are these all tasting notes from just now? Yeah. Wow, we've got loads of you in. Absolutely loads of you. And I'll read a few of these out. Steve Coleman Williams, good evening all. Steve, good evening. We were just talking about your amazing database that you made, and we might be able to share that with others should they wish. Malcolm Tucker, evening all. I'm looking forward to tonight's tasting. So much I've been in a turquoise frame of mind all day. I don't know what that is. But okay. Greg Buick, evening everybody. Simon, I almost forgot about tonight's tasting. I nearly opened the Glen Scotia Festival edition. Yes, I've heard great things about that. Malcolm Tucker saying, just noticed that the 3 whiskies tonight are all over 50% ABV. I'll sleep soundly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Is that the case?
No, it is. Yeah, 50% is minimum. My goodness.
Guys, hold on to your hats then tonight and get the water ready, because we'll probably be adding some of that into tonight's drams. Everyone looking forward to tonight's box. Is this the first time we've done a kind of 90% Islay box, isn't it?
I don't know if it's the first time we've done it. I think we might do this most years.
I've got a guy who'll be able to tell us, and that's Steve Coleman Williams. His database
not
will be able to tell us. Thank you, Steve. If you get that up, I don't have it to hand. So please welcome everybody. Welcome all of you regulars. Welcome to all the newbies who've never joined us before. You're in for a treat tonight. This looks like an absolute banging box. Please make sure, if you are new, that you get involved with all of us. Tell us your tasting notes. Ask questions to our guests. The more questions, the better. Absolutely. And I think, because I usually mess up, Jess, if you want to just go through the running order of tonight, and you're only going to say it once, because they always come back and they're like, what is it again? So listen.
Get your pens down, because it's not happening again. No, so starting, I will be chatting with Bruichladdich brand ambassador Bill, and then Andy will be taking the reins, chatting with Morrison Scotch Whisky Distillers commercial director Niel about the Mac-Talla, and then we'll be rounding off with a wonderful Kilchoman with George Willis, and then we'll look at a few thoughts. Obviously, 5 drams when the first 3 are all over 50% is quite a lot. So we will just give some thoughts on the final 2 drams in the set from Boutique Whiskey Company and Tomatin, but do not feel like you need to drink all 5 tonight.
Yes.
There's a lot of peat and there's a lot of whiskey.
And if you don't like peat, this is a good one to open your mind, maybe see if you like something. We have got unpeated stuff in here as well.
I think everyone would be pleasantly surprised if they had oh my goodness, what's the word? Preconceptions about peated whiskey. Woo, sorry everyone.
there was a glitch there in the AI. It just malfunctioned. If you have preconceptions about peat and smoky whiskies, maybe some of these ones tonight might change you. Yes, Steve Coleman Williams saying Mac-Talla will be a new one for me. There's obviously the Bruichladdich, which won't be, and then the Tomatin as well, which is actually a bit of a curveball, a bit of a wild card in this one, because the others are Islay, and that's
but so, just in case.
But, it's in there for
keep on your toes.
It's just absolutely keep everyone on their toes. So without further ado, let's just get stuck into this. So I'm going to invite Bill onto the stage. So welcome.
Hello.
Bill.
How you doing? How you guys getting on?
Yes, really good. Really looking forward to tonight. Really looking forward to a dram.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think your man talking about turquoise mood, I think he was referring to our...
Of course.
It's because I was looking at the dram.
I didn't have that bottle.
It makes sense. I think next time we'll give you little turquoise bottles, which are actually mega cute, to be fair.
I love actual miniatures.
Yes, that's not right.
Where are you coming to us from?
London. So I've been hiding inside Well, I'm from the north of the Highlands, so I've been hiding inside in this weather, which is, yeah, it's not ideal. It's happy. I like it for about an hour, and then I'm done. Had it. But yeah, from London.
You've been loving this whole year then.
Pretty much, yeah.
Amazing. I reckon, so before we get into all things Bruichladdich and all things turquoise, it would be great just to hear a bit about you before we get stuck into the whiskey. Like how did you get into the whiskey industry? Like, what's your story?
Yeah, I think probably like a lot of people, it's by accident. I was originally studying up in Aberdeen, where I was going to work offshore. So I was doing engineering, and I was going to start working on rigs and going offshore. And at the time, I was actually working in a bar, and I saw a lot of the offshore workers come in and go, I don't think I want to do that. So I started working in bars quite a bit more. And then I moved down to London, where I started working in hotels. And then basically the brand ambassador job came up, and it was whiskey was close to my heart naturally. And it's something that I kind of jumped into. I think pretty much every brand ambassador you speak to has their experience to be cocktail bars and et cetera, et cetera. So it was kind of a natural fit, working from hotel bars where you're hosting guests and clients to jump into the brand ambassador side. But also I was kind of waiting for a brand that I really, I love all whiskey brands, but when Bruichladdich came up, I knew the team quite well. And it was an opportunity that I couldn't say no to. So to represent something you really love and believe in as well, which is quite great.
Yeah. So when was that, sorry?
Oh, God, this was about 2.5 years ago. 2.5. Sorry. Yeah, 2.5. And then before that, I was actually working at Beam Suntory. So this is my second kind of corporate role, I would say.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. So you've been living, breathing it for quite a long time then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think as a brand, when we were working in the bar, we worked quite closely with Bruichladdich. So I did quite a lot of their trips when I got to know the team. So jumping into the role, I was basically speaking to people I already knew, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been good, been very good. And then my remit is the UK and Ireland. So I spend a lot of the time on the L&ER train up to Edinburgh, which is good. It means I get all my admin done. But yeah, it's very good.
Nice view.
Yeah. But very good.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so obviously we've got sort of like an Islay themed box this month in honor of the Islay Festival, Festival. But I think Bruichladdich sort of isn't what people think of when they think of Islay whiskey. Is that something you sort of encounter a lot in your job?
Yeah, I agree. Actually, when you talk about Festival, I'm actually up there in a few weeks now for the festival, because we do the Sunday where we do the Rock and Dial party on the Sunday, and we've actually just released our Rock and Dial bottlings as well for the festival. We go quite big on Festival. It's really good. But when it comes to thing of Islay whiskey, not really. For me, Bruichladdich Classic Laddie, I never really thought of it as Islay, even before I started working for the brand. But the history of the actual brand on the island as well is true to Islay for what it is. I mean, Islay doesn't always have to be peated. I think 99% of it is, but it's nice to have it unpeated, which always kind of has been, I mean, in the early days in 1881 onwards, some of the records show peated whiskey, but it kind of filtered out to unpeated, especially when we're kind of used to bulk up blends. And that's before we joined different corporate companies and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's not something I usually think of Islay. And to be honest with you, I think something with a color of this as well. It's not something that anyone thinks of whiskey, which is great, to be fair. It really brings people into the category. And I think having botanist gin as well, it really appeals to people, get into botanist gin and they start talking about the distillery, and then it kind of opens up this whole sort of rabbit hole. We have Port Charlotte, Octomore, botanist, Bruichladdich, and it just opens a rabbit hole when if someone grabs a bottle of botanist, Googles the distillery, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, what the hell's going on here? Where am I? So, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things which he doesn't think of Islay, but then there's some things like Port Charlotte and Octomore, which is very Islay, if you think of it like that.
So because Bruichladdich has been making unpeated whiskey for longer than it's been making peated whiskey. So, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Just like a brief history of this would be amazing.
That's so good. So for us, for our journey, it was peated on and off. For 1881, we were a purpose-built distillery. So the Harvey brothers went on to Islay, opened up a distillery just on the west. It's really beside Kilchoman, actually. So our neighbours. So it's a purpose-built distillery on the island itself, and then it was kind of used to, we made our single malts and used majority to bulk up blends, and then it was White Mackay for a bit, and then when we mothballed in '94 and reopened in 2001 under Mark Rayner, Simon Coughlin, and obviously Jim McEwen, it really started to kind of transition to what it is now. It's always been unpeated. There was some peated stuff, but I mean, it's like that's the records from way back before we can even try that liquid. But for us, majority, I mean, 90% of our time has always been unpeated. But then when we reopened, it's just been super terroir focused on, Scottish barley, community, full transparency, which is, something we'll dabble into when we talk about Classic Laddie.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's Bruichladdie's always been Bruichladdie, but then there's a little kind of like pivot and a change when Mark Rayner and Simon Coughlin came in. And then obviously when Remy Cointreau came in and purchased it in 2013, that's when distribution just went, across the world.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So yeah, there was like a big Bruichladdie explosion about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, everyone looks at us and thinks we're a new distillery, but I mean,
it looks modern, I think, in the packaging, maybe.
Yeah, everyone people think we're a new distillery, but we've just released a 30-year-old. We've had older whiskies. Like when we bought the distillery, we had 6,500 casks, which were ours, which were obviously the old stuff. So we started to release it in like rare cask, Black Art series, stuff like that. Which is, for a little inside information, it's about 0.4% of our total holdings at the moment. So when that stuff is gone, it's really gone. We can't go back and make the stuff. We have no idea what they did. We know we've got the stills and the mash tun and stuff, but we don't have the exact barley, where they got it from, and so.
Yeah. Oh wow. And you've already mentioned the whiskey of the hour, the Classic Laddie. So is this like if you had to, if you had to have one Bruichladdie, would the Classic Laddie be what Bruichladdie is about?
Yeah, the way I say it, it's our bread and butter. It's the true style and representation of Bruichladdie. I mean, for my job, I tend to always talk about all the explorations that we do, the 18-year-olds, or you talk about the Port Charlottes, you talk about the Islay, the barley series. And because we have so many different whiskies and explorations, you kind of forget what the core is and the backbone. If someone says, I've never had Bruichladdie before, I say, well, this here is Bruichladdie. This is what Bruichladdie tastes like. The Islay barley is fantastic. It's Islay barley, the Bear barley, the organic barley, the 18. But this is Bruichladdie to its core. And if you're lucky enough to have the old stuff and the old bottling back in like the 70s and the 80s, it tastes very, very similar. It's still got that character. I think it's the same stills. We have the same mash tun since 1881. It really kind of carries that character of the whiskey throughout. But if you never have Bruichladdie, have Classic Laddie first and kind of get into it. And, I mean, if you want me to carry on talking about it as we try, or if you got any more quick, yeah?
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm ahead of you.
Do you know what?
Oh, that noise is so good.
It's Thursday, and it's Eurovision tonight, so I may as well get a wee drink. So Classic Laddie, for me, it's like I said, it's a true representation of what the distillery is and what the liquid that we produce. When we kind of looked at Classic Laddie, it's non-age statement. The reason for this is Bruichladdie for us, since we kind of restarted in 2001, we tell you what age it is. We're very full transparent, but we don't want to be age focused, if that makes sense. We didn't want to be go down that that route of we need to put a big number on our bottle so it gets people's attention. We want to take people away from that and look a bit deeper into the whiskey. So that's why we went terroir focus, and the Classic Laddie itself is a cuvee, which of course whiskies are. This is a cuvee of around 85 different casks. I don't know if you can share something in the chat for the guest, but on our website we have a reveal your code, and I know the code of the actual liquid you're drinking, and I can share it with you so you can see the casks, the barley, the year, the distillation year.
That would be good.
Yeah, I'll put it into the private chat we have here.
Yeah, put it in the private chat. I don't think we can share it in the.
I think we can possibly comment.
And then if people want to do it themselves,
they can comment.
What I'll do is I'll say the batch code here, and if you just go onto our website, onto reveal your recipe, onto Classic Laddie, we'll literally tell you what it is. So this batch that you're drinking here is sitting about 85 casks, 5 vintages, 6 barley types, and 10 cask types. So we have some Islay barley, we have some mainland barley, We actually have barley from the Black Isle, where I'm from. So it's actually from my farm around the corner from my parents, which is really nice. We have some organic barley as well from Midcool Farm, just in Inverness. Caswise, Sauterne, Pauillacs, first fill bourbons, sherry butts, port pipes. So, but to really break down that recipe, you just go onto our website and we'll tell you exactly what's in your bottle. I think this really came from Mark Brain and Simon Coughlin. They believed not just in terroir because they're wine traders. I think for them, it was more of a, if you can grab, this is not their words, but if you can grab a tin of peaches and you can see everything on the back, why isn't whiskey the same? So they run full transparency, and that's across all brands, which is great. So it makes my job very open and honest and easy, which is nice. But yeah, talking more about the whiskey and the flavor, for me, it's salty, it's lemony, it's porridge at the finish. It's very dried oaty at the finish, which I love. Our full maturation is always on the islands. We're sitting above 100,000 casks at the moment. We just got to 100,000 last month. So everything we do is aged, rested, all on the island, bottled on the island. It doesn't leave the island until it's in one of our little aqua bottles. And this goes for the botanist, Port Charlotte, Octomore as well. But yeah, and then the barley that we're using here, a lot of it is kind of conventional two-row barleys. But what we find with the Islay barley is a very deep kind of salty saliness. And for me, it's the terroir of Islay. It's 70 to 80% peat. So if the barley's grown in that, it makes sense. For me, I give this to some of my friends. I had a whiskey with my mum recently, and she doesn't drink whiskey at all, and she thought it was fully peated whiskey. And it's natural to think that, because when you do smell it, you do get a bit of a smoke, a bit of kind of an essence of peat. Maybe it's because you think it's from Islay, so you kind of naturally think it is.
There is a salinity on the nose.
Yeah,
an Islay kind of, I don't know, like beach kind of vibe. It's not peat, but there is that kind of, I could suppose, could also give you the hint that it might be.
Yeah,
it kind of fakes you into thinking it, in a way. And it does, for me, this being at 50%, it allows you to put some water in. So if you add a drop of water, for me, it gets really sweet and kind of like lemon droppy. But it really becomes a different dram. And then you can decide if you want it at 50%, you can decide if you want it at 45, 40, 35, really make it your own.
I'm just going to read out some of the tasting notes we've got going on here, because there's a lot going on. Jester is saying, my first Bruichladdich was a redder still. Do you know what that is, Bill?
Yeah, when some of the new stuff, not new stuff, some of the stuff that we inherited, we started to release. It's good to have loads of different products back in the day, but I have people come up to me, which is wonderful, being like, have you ever had this? I'm like, never seen it in my life.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And half of the sensible half of him, which is I'd kept it as an investment. Malcolm Tucker, the nose of this is reminding me of Jakeman's honey and lemon menthol cough sweets. I love those. Peter Gilmore, to the nose, a minty smell and a citrus too. Peppery biscuit with cinnamon on the palate. Clyde Hampton, bitter orange, currants and raisins, sweet and fruity. Steve Coleman Williams, hint of coffee maybe. And David Woolcock, I'm getting apples, vanilla, hints and slight agricultural whip. And then Jess here has shared the code that you had just spoken about. And Malcolm Tucker saying, on the palate, getting barley maltiness, some orchard fruits, maybe pears, ground white pepper, finishing with honey sweetness, currants and sultanas. And Simon is saying mint sweets on the nose, making me think of mint imperials, but mellowing as it sits. Colin Barker saying, I love Bruichladdich, are so transparent about the makeup of their products.
I love it when you can see everything that goes into a whiskey. Like, I love getting really nerdy about it. And like, I think it really helps people understand like the why. Like, it takes the mystery out of whiskey, but not in a bad way, just in like that you can understand why it tastes like it does. And it helps you probably find out what you like.
Yeah, it does. And it's also like, we're being transparent because, we want to. We want to tell people. We don't massively lead with it, we don't put the recipe on the back of the bottle. It's just like, if you want to look deeper into it, you have the option to, when you said about tasting notes, you said biscuity. For me, this is heavy biscuit, really, really kind of biscuit saline vibes for me.
Biscuit saline vibes.
But maybe don't officially quote that as biscuit saline vibes, but that's personally for me.
In theory, that should be awful, but it's exactly what it is, and it's really nice.
It does, yeah.
Excellent saying it's a very refreshing dram if there is such a thing. Perfect for a sunny spring day. Yeah, refreshing's a bit of a weird one terminology for whiskey, because when I drink water on a hot sunny day or a squash, it might be refreshing, but
I always say
it's refreshing, isn't it?
I always do like whiskey sodas.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Like a highball as well could be slightly refreshing.
Straight whiskey when it's roasted.
Yeah, real boingo saying, "Hey, hello all. I get honey, barley, citrus." So those seem to be the common notes that are appearing here. Like you said, the barley seems to be, I suppose, the maltiness seems to be something that everybody is talking about, and a bit of mint on the nose. That's a lot of people have mentioned about a slight mintiness and menthol notes.
That's sort of the refreshing side of it. Maybe it's like the coolness of it.
Yeah, I think like for us, we with Bruichladdich, notably, we don't really go heavy sherry casks or heavy red wine or rich wine finishes. For us, it's more about the bourbon cask, because we don't want to give the spirit a place to hide, if that makes sense. We really want to talk about that amazing barley and that amazing spirit that we get off the still, and those casks are more like a vessel for it, if that makes sense. We don't want to. We could put this in a big sherry bottle; it would taste bloody delicious. But for us, it's like we really want to talk about that spirit that's delicious, that's coming off the still, and that barley that we're using.
Alex Antonio is asking, where is the grain yeast from, and is it the same across the ranges? Trying to understand where the fresh herbiness comes from.
When it comes to grain wise, it's when it comes to barley, we're just using conventional churros. We're not using any ancient grains in this one. We do an Albert barley, which comes from Orkney, but this one here, the farms wise, we have it on the little list there. A lot of it will be Islay based, and then mainland around kind of the Highlands and up towards Black Isle. But we have all the farm names as well on the recipe. But for me, that's, if you're getting those different flavors, that's only a true testament to the actual barley spirit that we're getting, I guess.
Has this been, because obviously Mark Rayner went to Waterford.
Yeah.
How's that been since? Because obviously this was very much a personal thing at the time. And then after that, keeping that legacy going of transparency and kind of single.
Yeah, I think even with sustainability. Yeah, even with Remy Control coming in, Remy Control is a distributor basically. We still have a Bruichladdich global team. They tell Remy what they're making and how they're making it, and they decide on that. Mark Rayner and Simon Coffin really set the tone for what we do, and we don't change that. It's been like this all the way through. And when it comes to the recipe wise, that's Adam Hannett who's creating the recipe to represent the Classic Laddie style, which obviously previously it was Jim McKeown after he left Moore. So it's something that we've I would say we haven't really changed at all. I mean, we've definitely standardized the products, as in, if you look at it before, we were releasing products like here, there, and everywhere, just because obviously when you first open a distillery, you need to get some money in. So there's like loads of different products. But what we've done, we've fallen into sort of kind of like releasing our barley expressions, or Classic Laddie, or 18 and now our 30, and then obviously the Port Charlottes as well. But I mean, the best question to answer, like the best person to answer that would be, to be honest, you would probably be Adam Hannett to see on that. And if you fire Bruichladdich an email and address it to Adam, he generally gets back to you. You know what I mean? It's a really big community vibe up there.
Well, interesting though, but yeah, maybe I will. Clive Hampson saying palate is like a big boiled sweetie wrapped in white pepper and licorice. And Anthony Mullin saying a big lemon sherbet. That's what you were saying, Bill. The freshness of the lemon and the sharp sherbet taste.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I first had a sip, I was like, this is like mega creamy and like really vanilla-y. And then almost like, I guess maybe it's opened up a bit, but now it's like so dry.
Yeah. It's really light, but it's also got that viscosity almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's like textural.
Yeah. And for us, like our stills that we have, they were actually designed by the Harvey brothers, and they've got kind of long lin arms. So it's basically, our stills are designed to make a very kind of slow distillation and a very light spirit. So for us, like if you're getting those kind of flavor notes, that comes from the barley itself, and a lot of the flavor, of course, casks. We have a Sauvignon Blanc cask in there as well. But all these different casks and kind of cuvee together will create that element. And it's only a testament to Adam Hannett more than anything else, maybe. But yeah.
When was this first released? Sorry, I don't know if
the Classic Laddie. About 2006, 2007. We kind of started venture. We started doing like Laddie 8, and then we did like a Laddie 10, which was like GTR, and then the Classic Laddie kind of started to standardize around 2008, 2009, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah. So it's like very recognizable long standing?
Yeah, it's always been the big aqua bottle as well.
Mm.
It's definitely one of those as well. I think even like, I don't know, we're talking about the whiskey, but sometimes you do have to talk about marketing as well. And the packaging is so unbelievably clever, because, in my opinion as well, but it just must be because it sells well. But like, it just is so striking. And I think, and I don't know, I just sometimes think you can kid people that it's a gin bottle.
I think people think it's a liqueur bottle
or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just so different. But to be honest, it's so like I just think Bruichladdich bottles always look great on your back shelf. Just the matte finish of the Octomores look great, and it's just done really, really well.
Yeah, and like even the Port Charlotte bottle was designed to look like a traditional Islay bottle, you know, with the green and the label and like the actual name printed on the back in the glass, and you know, it's all really thought off, you know. And we changed our bottle recently just so we could actually fit more cases on each pallet that goes off the island. So because we've changed, because we've gone no tin and we've gone like a slimmer, taller bottle, we've actually got 40% more product per pallet.
Wow.
Off the island. So
that is crazy, but it's the same amount of liquid in the bottle. It's just literally more ergonomic. That's
and it's the same with our 18 and our 30 packaging as well. If you've had the chance to kind of see that, we kind of worked with the space. Like if you looked at like a pack of 6 and there's 6 spaces, we basically designed a sleeve that can fit in those same boxes, so we don't essentially expand those boxes and lower the amount that we're taking off the island. We just, So, but yeah, you don't want to deep dive into B Corp because we're all going to fall asleep. Let's just.
Well, we have a question from Jester saying, have you stopped the novelty releases like Yellow Submarine?
Yeah, that's done. Yeah, it's sad to say, but if you're at Face Shield, it's for me, it blew my mind when I went up there last year. We bring all the old bottles that we have, and we just put them on the bar. There's like 15, 16 different whiskies, and we're selling them for like £4 a double, and it blows my mind. But if you want that stuff, either auction or Face Shield, and then try and you won't be able to buy a bottle, be able to get to drink it though. But and then now we're moving on with an 18-year-old or 30-year-old, and we're going to start doing some special releases as well. But if you are interested, like especially like the Classic Laddie, for me, the 18-year-old is the exact same as classic. It's like Classic Laddie on steroids. You know, it's still fully traceable, but it's all liquid. We call it a whiskey of first because it's the liquid that we were making in 2001, 2002, the first ever stuff that's just been waiting, and now we've released it, which is lovely.
Which of those flavors are like amped up in that one?
Yeah, for me, well, the bourbon cast is about 89%. The rest is like 6% port pipe, and then a cheeky Sauterne because we love Sauterne and Bruichladdich.
Cheeky Sauterne cast.
We absolutely love them. Everything. If you go to the distillery, it's just a Sauterne cast finish. Anyway, before I digress, I think for me, I would say probably richer barley notes. Maybe barley, not so much saline. That saline definitely leaves when it gets to 18, 19, 20 years old. It definitely kind of backs down a bit. But I'd say it's a bit more vibrant and kind of like rich tones, a bit more barley, I'd say heavy.
Interesting.
Okay, whose alarm is that going off?
That's my Casio. For some reason,
that's great because it's a good segue for me because I was looking at the time and I was like, my alarm's gone off. So.
I think I did it in my sleep one night and I don't know how to change it. there's only buttons. I don't know.
I thought it might have been you, Andy. I was like, organised.
No, I'm not that organised. But thank you very much, Bill, for talking to us about
thanks for having me again.
I scratched the surface, but that was so interesting.
Absolutely wonderful talking about all things Bruichladdich. Definitely have. I'm going to do this again. I say this every time. We've had Port Charlotte on here before, haven't we?
Yeah, I think I did it with you last time. I'm not too sure, but
then it was Port Charlotte. I remember it was because I think it was the 10, which is just like one of the best Islay drams out there, without question. I mean, it's pretty much the best 10-year-old on the island, maybe, along with the Ardbeg 10. An amazing dram. But the Laddie's great as well. And remember, if you want to, you can get that at a decent price on the Pour and Ship shop. Pour and Sip shop. I've only had one whiskey, already struggling with double S's. And thank you very much, Bill. If you want to stick around to the end, let us know. But otherwise, we will see you soon.
Yeah, perfect. Cheers. Thanks for having me again.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
That's such a good round to kick off with. I'm ready. I'm ready for more.
You're ready for more. You're ready for. We're ready to start the peat extravaganza.
Yes.
Because
I
that.
feel like peated whiskey isn't something I would usually just like sip on, not on my own, but it's something I'd reach for to have straight. So this is actually really nice.
Okay, and Kilchoman Williams is already in there. He's right in there. November 2022.
It's actually quite a long time.
You're amazing. And apparently, well, I think we've done two. Saying we've done 2 Islay boxes before, always in May, obviously because of Fej. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I just forget. And Rura Boinga agreeing about the Port Charlotte, and Anthony Mullins, yes, about the Port Charlotte, is eyeing me from the shelves as I type. Anyway, let's invite our next guest, Niel, on, who's going to talk to us about all things Mac-Talla. How's it going? You're on mute. This is a very 2023 vibe. How's it going? Still on mute. Yeah, there you are.
I thought I was putting the volume up. How's it going?
Yes, really well, thank you. You are very, very echoey. You sound like you're talking in some kind of very large Italian church or something. It's not, I can imagine. It's your house.
It's sadly not.
You're perfect now.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better. Last time I saw you, I was going freshwater diving at 6 a.m. in Islay. That's what.
Did you enjoy it?
No. I'm joking. I did. I really enjoyed it. Just for anyone who knows, they gave us. You gave us obviously suits to wear because it is freezing cold. You didn't wear them. He's absolute.
But do you remember what I had in my hand?
I don't.
A bottle of Mac-Talla Mara.
You did, yes.
I was going to guess that, but I thought I wasn't there, so I'll shut up.
It was. My whole insides were just blocking themselves at that point. I couldn't really concentrate on anything. It was partly the getting up at 6 a.m. and then obviously going into the Islay fresh seawater at that time was wow. No, it was a good experience. How are you anyway?
I'm very, very well.
Good. Let's talk.
And I really enjoyed that laddie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have? Are we sending bottles out now, Jess? Is that? Are we doing that? Yeah, you have. Okay, great, cool.
Oh, yeah. Sets,
I have to check first because
I was like, bottles to who?
I really forget if we're doing that still or we're not.
Yes, we didn't. I didn't get the box the last time, but it's fascinating to sort of go through the range with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great dram. But we're going to be talking about Mac-Talla. But firstly, talk to us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the industry, and how you found yourself at Morrison's.
Jeez. I think like everyone else, I started behind a whiskey bar. I'm originally from South Africa, and I remember in November of 1999, I started working behind a whiskey bar in a hotel in Cape Town. And I only started in the whiskey bar because they didn't have space in the kitchen. And I wanted to become a chef. And 3 years later, I was sent to Gleneagles Hotel, and I worked a bit at the Gleneagles Hotel and to increase my whiskey knowledge, and got the opportunity to travel around Scotland and see a few distilleries. And one of the first distilleries I visited was Bowmore Distillery. And Gleneagles was one of the bigger accounts for Bowmore at the time, and one of the first accounts to sell with Black Bowmore. So they arranged for me to go and see the distillery, and I stayed over. And yeah, thinking about that now, the business I work for at the moment used to own Bowmore Distillery. But I started behind the bar and then became a brand ambassador for Eglinton in 2005, and then took on the Glenmorangie portfolio when Glenmorangie was bought by LVMH in 2007, again in South Africa. And I did a bit of work for Moët Hennessy in Africa between 2007 and 2013. But whiskey's always been my hobby and my thing. But I've always wanted to live in Scotland, and finally got an excuse to move to Scotland in 2014 to do a business degree in Edinburgh. Actually, I wanted to take a year off, and the easiest way to get it past my parents was to tell them that I'll go and study something. But that gave me a great excuse to come and live in Edinburgh for a year, and I'm still here. So I was in London for 2 years with Moet Hennessy, and then in 2018 I joined what was then a company called Morrison & Mackay, essentially an independent bottler, and I joined as international sales manager, and within a year we started a transition to Morrison Scotch Whisky Distillers. So both a corporate change in corporate identity and also a full rework of our whiskey portfolio.
Yeah, cool. That's great, and that's also a good segue onto Morrison. So talk to us a little bit about Morrison Scotch Whisky Distillers and the family, obviously, and the heritage of that family, and kind of what attracted you to working for that company. Is that, again, you talk about the Moet Hennessy and stuff, but talking about much smaller, more independent.
Yeah, I mean, so Morrison Scotch Whisky Distillers is owned by Jamie and Brian Morrison. Now, Brian Morrison's father, Stanley P. Morrison, purchased Bowmore Distillery in 1964 and 1963, and managed Bowmore Distillery and eventually acquired Glengarry Distillery and Auchentoshan Distillery until they completed the sale to Suntory in 1994. And Jamie built a distillery on his barley farm in 2017 called Aberargie. And at the time, it's if you see the distillery, it's a purpose-built distillery. And I think Bill mentioned that Bruichladdich at the time was purpose-built. And when I talk about a purpose-built distillery, it is almost the complete opposite of the likes of Edredauer or Springbank. Whereas if you look at the setup of the distillery, everything is in a straight line. It is very functional. It's there to produce good quality spirit in a very efficient, hygienic manner. But the distillery was built for two reasons. One, to eventually produce and release a single malt Scotch whisky brand, which we can get to in a bit. But also to have liquid in order to trade with. And I think the best way Jamie explained it to me when I saw him before I joined the business was, cash is important, but if you've got liquid in your pocket, you get a better seat at the table. So when we negotiate trade deals with the likes of Beam or Edrington or Shivers, to swap liquid is very valuable. And we need to secure liquid for our branded whiskey projects. So for Old Perth, which is a blended malt Scotch whiskey, as well as Mac-Talla. And the best way for us to secure liquid quantity-wise for Mac-Talla going forward is by exchange rather than just cash purchases.
Yeah.
And then the reason why I joined the business, I was with Moet Hennessy for probably close on 10 years, and I was playing golf with one of their brand ambassadors when I joined, when I was in Edinburgh. And I'll never forget, Karen told me, she said, Niel, when I met you 9 years ago, you told me that one day you want to work for a small independent Scotch whisky business. And I completely forgot about that. But that was obviously in the back of my mind something that I've always wanted to do. And I think after I did my master in business, I wanted to either join a startup business or start something myself. And at the time, Morrison Distillers was as close to a startup as I could get with the financial and historical security of a big business.
I mean, it is a small. I mean, how many's on the team in reality?
23.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've got 23 people, and that includes warehouse, distillery. We've got our own bottling facility, sales and marketing, administration. So
we're talking about extremely small, but that is, you know, that gives you lots of more freedom to make great quality liquid, and that's what we're talking about tonight.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be talking about Mac-Talla. So obviously Mac-Talla is all about Islay, but when we were there, one thing that really hit me was kind of like just the name of the family seemed really important to people on the island.
It's exciting, and to be honest with you, it really got to me at the same time. And I've had the opportunity to go to Islay a few times, but that was one of the first times with sort of under the Morrison Scotch Whisky Distillers umbrella and talking about the Morrison family. And I remember just random people in like the bartenders or the waitress at some of the restaurants, you know, acknowledging that they once in their lives worked for the Morrison family and what impact the Morrison family had on them and on the community and on their family. And I think that's so valuable. Now, as much as the Morrison, Jamie, he is involved in the day-to-day management of the business, but his job is really to secure the liquid, the stock for us, because he's got those relationships with the larger companies and the distilleries on Islay. And I think that's probably one of our biggest assets is our inventory and our access to malt from various Islay distilleries.
Yeah. So talk to us about Mac-Talla then. So
the easiest way for me to, I mean, when we came up with the brand in 2020, felt that due to our historic connections to the island, you know, we ought to be custodians of an Islay single malt Scotch whisky brand. We don't have a distillery on Islay, and of course we'd like to have one, but I think if you flip it around, this presents such an incredible opportunity in the sense that we can represent Islay in its entirety. And that's what we're trying to achieve through the Mac-Talla brand, is to show that the whiskies from Islay are not one-dimensional. They're not all about peat and smoke. They are very, very different. And we've got 3 products in the core range at the moment, Terra, Mara, and Strata. And if you taste them side by side, they are completely different. So we really have the flexibility, you know, Terra will always be the same, Mara will always be the same, Strata will always be the same, but they are there to represent different flavor profiles on the Islay. So Terra for me is very peaty. It's what we call our classic Islay. It's bottled at 46%. Mara, as the name suggests, is all about the sea. It's all about the salinity, the saltiness. It is so super fresh. But if you nose this, you know, it is vastly different to the whiskey we started with, in the sense that smoke, that salt, that freshness hits you.
Yeah, just a bit. Just a bit. Jess, you want to read out some of those tasting notes that are coming?
Yeah, it's funny because the first one we got through was from, oh my God, so many have come through. I need to go back and find them. Yeah, the first one we got through was from Peter Gilmore saying, I just poured the Mac-Talla and I can smell the peat from it without even nosing it. And I had the exact same thing where I literally opened the dram and it was like pure bonfire to me. Yeah, we've got Steve Williams with lovely campfire, toffee apples and a twist of orange, making him want to go camping. David Walcock says, I pretty much live on a beach and this is like stepping outside with its salty nose with smoked gammon and black pepper. That is bang on. It's all.
You say you lived on the beach. You step on the beach usually with smoked gammon and black pepper. That's the thing I usually take.
Sounds like a good like barbecue.
Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe we're thinking of different types of beaches.
Yeah, you're thinking like in the day.
Yeah, I suppose I would just anytime thinking Spanish walking in with my smoked gammon. Yeah, carry on.
Peter Gilmore, sea spray in the wind and smoky on the nose. Simon making me think of bonfires on a beach. It's so beachy and like smoky. It's so like evocative, all of these tasting notes. Malcolm Tucker with barbecue smoke and sea spray, hints of leather, baked hams again, and lemons. And Jester says, I'd not heard of Mac-Talla until I went to an air show where there was a trade stand selling bottles. Took a punt on a bottle. So he has had. I wonder which one did you get, Jester?
Yeah,
we want to know.
Yes, and we want to know what you thought, because the real cliffhanger here. You just said you took a punt on a bottle, and was it good? Did you like it? Was that the end of your Mac-Talla journey? Anyway, don't carry on.
Yeah, there's so many. We've got Peter Gilmore with barbecue on the nose, no, barbecue on the palate even. Real Boingo with smoky peat, seaweed with a slight hint of caramel on the nose, and the taste is campfire, roasted marshmallows with sea salt, and for the finish, more salty marshmallow with the smoke. That's a good one, actually. I think it's like, yeah, it's surprisingly sweet for me, actually. Like, I feel like the first smell I got, like I wasn't really sure what to expect, but actually, like, it's a really lovely balance of like smoke, sweetness, and like that definite like salty, beachy.
I think that's what you're saying, Neil, about that thing of like not just showcasing either as just this peat monster kind of thing. You're also showcasing it that there are other sides to it as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, the biggest surprise of this dram is it's at a whopping 58.2%.
Yeah, wow.
No one's made a comment on that.
Yeah.
And that just shows how well integrated the alcohol and the spirit is. Like, I struggle to add water to this. It just drinks so beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Is this? Would you say this is your favourite from the range? This one?
It is, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, because it's massive. It's absolutely massive.
I mean, it makes an absolute mean highball with a squeeze of lime. It is so refreshing.
There we go. That's a refreshing word again.
Yeah,
we had earlier that,
but not minty.
Not minty, yeah, exactly.
Like, there's definitely no mint here. Like,
no, there's no mint here. It's absolutely wonderful. I think someone said ham, smoked ham, but like with, there's like these kind of huge, like, it's bonfire, sea spray, lemon, like really kind of salty lemon kind of note. Well, I think it's got that thing that the Laddie had as well, which was that fresh sea spray, which is really coming through. David Walcott will
so we've got those three expressions in the core range, and they're all, I'd say, on the heavier side when it comes to peat or smoke. And in about a month's time, we're about to release a new Mac-Talla called Flora, which is the floral botanical side of Islay. So very, very lightly peated.
Okay.
And a really different experience.
You've released you have had some other limited edition bottles as well. Didn't you just release a rum one as well?
Ooh, have we?
We're
about to.
Yes.
So we have done a few limited editions. Flora will be part of the core range, but the rum one you're referring to is our bottling for Fez Isle.
Okay, cool. It's the limited edition.
So it's a 2009 Mac-Talla, matured for 10 years in bourbon barrels, an additional 5 years in virgin rum oak. It is, it is just sweet pineapple.
Do I need to make a last minute dash down to Tej this year?
Yes.
Yeah,
if you can get a ferry.
And that's
you have to go for a dip at 6 a.m. That's the price, Andy.
Yeah.
You won't do it.
There's going to be lots of notes of rum ham in that one for
rum ham.
Any It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fans there. Alex Antonio, anyone else getting a caper saltiness Pecksman that Neil makes a great point about it being easily drinkable, forgetting that it's 58%, but already great with a drop of H2O. And Steve Coleman Williams is saying water really does open this one up massively, which it does. Another interesting question just about this, because obviously a lot of people ask you this question, but it's not necessarily. We were talking about with Bruichladdich about what's in it and blah blah blah. But I think sometimes with whiskey, it's also nice to drink stuff which you just drink it and enjoy it for its, where it's from. So that's another thing with this. You don't really need to specify where this has come from.
It was such a big conversation piece when we started talking about the concept and what it is that we want to do. And I think the key message is that it is all about taking the consumer or the drinker or the on a flavor journey across Islay. And you know what, if I tell you this is Ardbeg or Kalila or Bruichladdich, if you want to drink Ardbeg, just go and buy a bottle of Ardbeg. So, as I say, we've got a really strong inventory of malt from various distilleries in Islay, and it's sort of our way to play the different tunes. And it is Mac-Talla. It's not Kalila, and it's not Lagavulin, and it's not Ardbeg.
Yeah.
How do
whiskey
you?
in that bottle, Jess?
Can you imagine?
But no, I remember you saying, Neil, and I think that's a really clever way to think about it as well. Like this is solely Mac-Talla that we're drinking, and it should be recognisable as that rather than saying this is Mac-Talla.
I was going to ask, how do you set out? Sorry, Andy, I totally cut you off there.
It's fine.
With a brand like this, though, obviously, how do you set out your DNA? If obviously you're inherently bottling things from other places, like, because there will be a Mac-Talla DNA. So how would you describe that?
And again, that's fascinating, because that DNA is often referred to. I think the distilleries probably refer to it as distillery character. Mm. And we've got to be so careful to talk about distillery character, because what distillery character? If you talk about distillery character, you got to talk about the distillery. Yeah. And that's why we never speak about distillery character. We hardly ever speak about ppm or phenols, because we're not in control of the new make spirit. We purchase both mature spirit as well as new make spirit. And when we purchase new make spirit, we're in complete control of the wood. And that's probably the most important. So Mac-Talla Mara is exclusively in bourbon barrels. So first and second for bourbon barrels. But I think from a brand point of view, that DNA is probably less important, because we're not striving for consistency. Right. There's not a Mac-Talla DNA that has to run through every bottling we do. I think there's a Mac-Talla DNA in terms of how we represent the bottle, and what it is that we want to communicate. But the whole idea of the brand is to represent the island, rather than a specific place on the island.
Yeah, that's a really lovely way of putting it. I like that.
Cool. On a separate note, are we going to see anything from the distillery anytime soon?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. When?
You figure out if you're allowed to say.
We've been distilling since 2017, November 2017. And
can you just repeat the name of the distillery again for those who would have missed it? So
the distillery is called Aberargi. It is a tiny, tiny village. I'm not even sure I can call it a village. It doesn't have a post office. It doesn't have a cafe. It's a little row of houses, but it's essentially a barley farm just south of Perth. But we've started the project, so we are
close.
We are going. The liquid. We've had a look at the liquid, what we've got, And I reckon within the next 2 years, we'll have a bottle on the shelf, which is obviously why we're all there.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I joined in 2018 thinking, gosh, I just want to be part of this Aberargi project. And it's May in 2024, and finally we've started.
Okay.
Yeah.
It will be worthwhile soon. It will be.
Oh yeah.
I can imagine it's going to taste good. Well, thank you very much for coming on again, Niel, and talking to us about all things Mac-Talla. And yeah, we'll hopefully see you again soon doing maybe something from the new distillery, or we'll go back to Old Perth, or we'll do something else. But yes, thank you again, and we will speak to you soon.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers. Right, this is flying by. I love that jam. That is just it's everything I want from an Islay whiskey.
I'm gonna need to get more so I can have that highball. I want all of these in a highball, I feel like.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's like, even Scotch, it's like, oh, really good in like an old fashioned or like today it's all about the highball.
Yeah, it's the sun.
True that.
True that. True that. Okay, so I think it's time. This has flown by.
I know.
Absolutely flown by. But it is time for our next guest. So I'm going to welcome.
Last but not least.
Last but certainly not least, George. From Green.
Sorry.
Okay.
How are we all?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good time.
I'm having a lovely evening, relaxing here, just listening to everyone talk, and then forgot that I actually had to do some work as well.
And now
someone's got to do it.
Yes. Go on. Yes.
The floor is mine. Yes, well, thank you for listening to us yabber on for such a long time. It's really lovely to have you. Yes, can't wait to talk Kilchoman. I mean, first up, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one I got wrong for quite a few years.
You wouldn't be the first.
Yes. Where are you coming to us from today?
So I'm actually down in Bristol.
Lovely.
So moved down here about 7 years ago.
Oh, I was there just on the weekend.
So yeah, sunny Bristol.
Yes, lovely Bristol. Okay, amazing. So, I mean, you're based in Bristol. You don't sound Scottish. It'd be great to.
I can explain all that.
Explain yourself.
I can explain myself. So I suppose the way I got into the whiskey industry was my father, Anthony Wills, built Kilchoman. And I had no intentions of going into the whiskey industry, and his intentions weren't for any of us. I've got two brothers. We all work within the company, and there was never the intention for any of us to work within the company. He's made that abundantly clear to us on a number of occasions. But we are actually, as a family, born down not far from where I live now. Moved to Scotland in 1995. Dad was in the wine trade when we lived down in England. Moved to Scotland. He became an independent bottler.
Right.
And then we moved over to Islay in 2004 when he built Kilchoman. But my mum's side of the family were from Islay, and built the distillery in production-wise in 2005, and it now, we're all involved in the business. We were all doing different things before that, and now all work there. So yeah, I suppose I have to be grateful to him. But no, so we all very much a family business. He runs it on a day-to-day basis, and then myself and my two brothers look after the sales and marketing side, UK and export now. It was a very small team of just the three of us, and now we're up to 7 of us on the sales and marketing side, and now employing 50 people in the distillery. So yeah, things have progressed quite a lot in the last few years, especially.
Yeah, I mean, there must be some good sort of 20-year celebrations coming up soon, next year even.
Yeah, we are planning something. The last time we had a party, we opened our new visitor centre and showed everyone around our new still house, and that was in February 2020. So we haven't got the best track record of when parties should kick off. So
So
don't do anything, please.
No, so we might not do anything. But no, it's I think that we are planning something. Everyone keeps on asking us what we're going to do. So we're going to do something.
The secret is
the
surprise. Amazing. So, I mean, that sort of sort of a brief intro to the story of the distillery. I mean, but it broke history, didn't it, when it opened? Like the first new. I mean, now it seems crazy to think, but yeah, when it opened, it was the first new distillery in like over a century.
Yeah, over 124 years.
124.
Yeah, for one that was built. So I think that my dad had a clear plan. Islay, my mum's side of the family, always had ties to Islay and always had a house there for going back 2 generations. And we've been going there for years. And when my dad moved into the independent bottling world on a small scale, he always wanted to be able to control everything as far as distillation and cask management. And he was quite clear about what he wanted to do as well. He didn't want to, I suppose, in his eyes, build another Islay distillery that was similar to the rest. He wanted to be slightly different and almost go backwards, which was quite a strange way of looking at it, because most people want to be progressive, where he wanted to go back to the traditional roots of distilling, as far as being based on a farm, growing barley ourselves, got floor maltings, distill, mature and bottle on site. And that was something he was very, very keen to do. And that makes up about 30% of our total production comes from barley we grow ourselves on the farm.
Wow.
And then the rest of the barley, up until last year, came from Port Ellen maltings. And since then, we've been buying it from Crisp on the mainland, unpeated last year, before we can send our own peat over to them to peat our own barley as well. So, to peat barley as well. So the distillery itself started producing in the region of 70,000 litres in 2005. And we've increased production over a number of years. And this year we're producing just over 500,000 litres of alcohol.
Wow.
We put in another still house in 2019, identical to the original still house. So an identical pair of stills, another mash tun, and more washback. So each time we've increased production, it's not just been right, let's produce more because we can now. We want to do it because we feel it's the right thing to do. But it's not been easy. I mean, it's quite funny listening to Bruichladdich talking about the bottling, because that's where we used to bottle our miniatures. My brothers and I used to go down there, and I have fond memories of going down there to bottle miniatures when all we had was miniatures of sort of 1 month, 2 month, and 6 month old spirit. We'd go down to the Bruichladdich bottling hall, and they very kindly let us use it for an afternoon to bottle off our miniatures. So luckily we have our own bottling hall now on Islay, so we don't have to go down and ask them anymore. But
we've come so far.
We have come so far. Even Bruichladdich looks after a lot of our casks when we ran out of warehousing. So we ran out of warehousing in 2008. We just ran out of space, and Bruichladdich took in the region of 1,000 casks for us, and they kept them from 2008 all the way up until 2012, when we actually were able to build more warehousing. So the Islay community is a fantastic place.
I was going to say, it's stories like that are so lovely to hear, like, especially from a production side, like, competitors, but also like you're all in the same boat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there's because there hadn't been a distillery built for so long, it was a bit like, we need to sort of protect each other and we need to look out for each other. So we very much felt that. Eddie McCaffer from Bowmore came up to help us with the floor maltings in the early years as well. We've benefited from the generosity of the Islay people hugely.
So would you say that what your dad set out to make 20 years ago, has much changed since then in terms of like the whiskey itself, or is it just sort of the capacity and I guess, the expressions?
No, I suppose the style, the raw make, the spirit quality and style has not changed. We use exactly the same methods, fermentation times, etc. We have experimented. We did a bit of experimentation in sort of 2019 and 2020, we did experiment with different cut points and put that into bourbon barrels. We've experimented with different yeast varieties again and put that into first fill bourbon barrels. But it's not something at the capacity that we do. It's not something we do a massive amount of experimentation with. But the ethos of the distillery hasn't changed, and just the capacity. So you mentioned floor maltings. I would just love to hear why that was a choice that you made with the distillery. And so essentially, just what are floor maltings and why does no one do them themselves? No one, well, we soon found out why no one did them, because they are very labor intensive. And
why do you, as an extra question?
Because we wanted to be traditional. The whole idea was to be traditional. And because we're only doing it for our own barley, which is only a few hundred tons, it's not too bad. We have 2 full-time members of staff purely on the malting side. The floor maltings means instead of using drums, etc., you are steeping the barley to start the germination process and then scattering it on a floor and turning it on a regular basis to stop it from getting away from you, essentially. And it's hard to control is the main thing. So yields can suffer if we're not as vigilant. I think in the early years we weren't as vigilant as we are now. We have looked far, the people in there have looked far more into the science behind it, whereas we just looked at it in the early days. Myself and my brothers, right, we need to go and turn the barley. We'll go and turn the barley. Whereas now it's right. Okay, is the barley at the right temperature? Is it the right depth? For summer to winter. So floor maltings, only a handful of distilleries still do it. We will continue to do it. We're extending our malt floor next year.
You're making it bigger.
Yeah, we're making it bigger. We've got capacity for 4 tons. We want to make slightly more capacity because we're draining more fields on the farm to grow more barley. So we don't want to run out of malting space. So there's a lot of building work happening at the distillery. Every time we feel like we need to stop building, there's more building work happening. Warehouses seem to go up the whole time as well.
Yeah. So is that, I was going to ask how you sort of, because you were saying when it was built, it almost felt like going backwards. So how do you keep building? And it sounds like a more thoughtful question than it is, I think. But how do you keep going backwards, but keep going forwards as well?
So we balance that out, really. I think the production side of things is very traditional. Everything in production is very traditional. We've got a total of 7 warehouses now on site. The original, 5 of them are dunnage, and then one of them's half racking, half dunnage, and then the new ones are racking. Purely putting racking into the new warehouses because we don't want to turn our farm into warehousing. The fields are quite useful to us, so we're essentially putting in racking into the new ones. But it's a hard one to balance, I think, when it comes to making the whiskey, having the floor maltings, having traditional, steam levers in the still house. 2 guys in there working around by hand, no computers controlling things, etc. That really helps keep the tradition going, and then being able to control barley varieties that we grow in the fields for the 100% Islay. So anytime you see a bottle with 100% Islay on, that is grown on the farm at Rockside. And this year we've planted Diablo barley. We do plant different varieties, so Diablo and Sassy this year, and we'll distill them separately to see how they perform. So not quite on the scale that Bruichladdich do as far as the Islay farms. They've got the majority of them apart from us. And actually, before we bought Rockside Farm, they were growing barley for Bruichladdich. It's renowned for being a very fertile farm. So that was one of the main reasons for building the distillery there as well.
Amazing. Sorry, my connection went a bit dodgy there just as we were getting into the juicy barley stuff. But I can't believe we haven't even talked about the whiskey that I've been nosing yet. So we've got a Batch Strength edition. We're finishing on a 57%. So
So this is...
We've had 50, 58, and now 57. So
yeah,
this is,
you know, we're all feeling it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's Thursday. It's Thursday. It's been a warm day. It's Thursday.
It's 3 weeks, guys, so far.
So this is new to the core range. So people who aren't familiar with Kilchoman, we have our Mac-Talla and we have our Saneg, which are the core products, always available. And then we have limited releases, 100% Islay, Loch Gorm, etc. And we've always wanted to had a high ABV bottling to the core range. So Mac-Talla and Saneg and the Batch Strength are all 50 ppm. This would have been distilled, excuse me, with barley from Portela Maltings, 50 ppm. And we released this earlier this year purely because we were in a position where we had the casks available, and we had the makeup of the cask to make it slightly different. One of the things at Kilchoman that we like to do is showcase the importance of casks. I think it's talked about a lot more now, but I think especially when we started releasing whiskey in 2009, a lot of the emphasis was put on age, whereas we don't have that option, being relatively young. So we look at how important casks are in the final profile of the whiskey. So what you've got in your glass here is 57%, combination of STR casks, fresh bourbon barrels, and then also a small amount of Oloroso sherry. But predominantly, if we were to break it down in percentages, 70% bourbon, 20% the STRs, and then 10% the Oloroso sherry. We toyed with this. This is the first vatting that myself and my brother has been able to get involved in with Robin Bignell, the production manager. I say when we were allowed to get involved in, it was probably preconceived, and we were just told to come in there, and the decision was made, but it made us feel like we were actually doing something. But what we wanted to bring out was, whereas Mac-Talla is mainly bourbon casks, so that's got that freshness, that citrus notes, and Saneg is predominantly sherry cask matured, so a bit richer, a bit heavier, a bit spicier. We wanted something to sit in the middle at that higher ABV. We wanted it to be fresh because Kilchoman's got that lovely fresh citrus saline quality to it. But we wanted the red wine, the STR cask to come in with that little bit of summer fruits, a little bit of red berry fruits in there, maybe a little bit of sort of milk chocolate as well. But what we wanted to do was showcase the quality of the spirit. And I think, tasting these whiskies that we've tasted so far this evening, the main thing is that at a high ABV, and especially at a relatively young age, there's no real hiding place.
Yeah.
You can't hide in lots of oak. This is predominantly 7-year-old whiskey.
Wow.
So it is young, but at that young age, on the nose, you get the freshness. On the palate, you will get a little bit of alcohol. You get a nice little bit of spice coming through, and the peat is there. But it's not that. A lot of people think at 50 ppm, at that higher peating level, maybe a little bit too much.
Okay, Andy.
I just managed to mute myself like that, maybe a millisecond too late.
Yeah. But even at that higher alcohol, the peat is there, but it's not that overriding sort of flavor. What we want to show at Kilchoman is peat is a fantastic flavor profile to put into whiskies. And the way we distill is to try and get those lighter, softer, more citrus notes. And we're very pleased with this. I think it only launched in April. So it's
really?
It's very new. We're on a bit of a tour around Europe at the moment. We're doing 20 countries through Europe. And we're on country 17 then. We're nearly finished.
What's the finale? Where are you finishing?
Fèis on Islay, if we get back in time.
Bring it all back home.
Yeah, if we make it in there. So I'm off to join them in Holland next couple of days to do a few more tastings. So this is the reason for going on the tour, was to launch this product. And it's been well received. I think anytime high ABV whiskey is now becoming so popular. And it's nice to be able to put this in the core range. So always available moving forward.
Right.
we're pleased with it, but it doesn't really matter if we're pleased with it because it counts for nothing.
Andy, prove that everyone's pleased with it, I guess.
Okay, everyone's saying it's terrible.
Okay. Oh, damn. Right. Okay.
It's
cancel
cool.
the flights.
You're pleased with it. It's fine.
I'm pleased.
No, as the opposite. Peter Gilmore, peat, smoke, and lemon to the nose. Anthony Mullins, taste not as peaty as I expected from the nose. Jester, my love for Islay started when I was based at Jess.
Macrahanish?
Yeah.
We pop over to sample the delights of the island. There you go. Steve Coleman Williams, like a lightly burnt lamb shank and chocolate bourbon biscuit.
I resonate more with the chocolate in that tasting note, personally.
Yeah. Peter Gilmore, the palate smoky and poached plum and smoky honey finish. Malcolm Tucker, nose, salt, smoke, but not all heavy. A sweetness reminiscent of honeyed parsnips. There you go. Jeffster agreed, dangerous stuff this in the Mac-Talla, lol. Clive Hampton, obvious smoke and salty nose, but a big sweet caramel punch on the palate, which was unexpected. Pexman, the Mac-Talla needed a drop of water for me, but the Kilchoman doesn't. Lovely stuff, the 2 drams. Would you add a couple of drops of water to this one at this amount we are drinking?
It really depends on how my palate behaves. You know, sometimes I'll add a few drops of water and it brings out a nice little creaminess to it. Other times, like this evening when I've been drinking higher ABV whiskey and my palate's adapted to it, I feel my palate is already there. But it's such a personal thing. You know, we're all tasting different things. We're all eating different things throughout the day. So we're all going to pick up different flavor profiles. But the freshness is what we really, really wanted to get from this.
And it seems to be what people get. Malcolm Tucker saying the palate, smoked bacon and toffee, chili pepper finish, smoked Anglesey sea salt and heather honey. Jess, am I right there? Anglesey?
Anglesey.
Anglesey is right, but I didn't know they made salt.
Okay. Real Boinger, peat cherries, smoke and salt on the nose, taste of peaty sea salt and black cherries with vanilla, and the finish is smoky, salty vanilla. Steve Coleman Williams, who we've not mentioned in a while, this would make a stunning cokey, smoky flavor.
I was going to say, we've all been talking about highballs, but I sort of feel like this is maybe not one for a highball.
That's, well, I mean...
I guess.
To be honest, I can't comment because I haven't tried it in a highball yet.
This is one for me to drink like it is, to be honest. If I'm completely honest, what I think I would get from this one. Richard Wingrove, this and the Mac-Talla have been a lot smoother than I was expecting from the ABVs. It's not fiery. It's not like massively punchy.
No,
there is a smoothness to it.
I think with Kilchoman especially, because we've always been releasing higher ABV, we'd have, it's all 46 and above. We do a lot of 50% as part of the limited releases. Our spirit style of that freshness really stands up to it. We also, my dad's background in independent bottling is very much on the cask side of things. So he takes a lot of thought about the casks we buy, and we're buying all our casks direct from source. So they're coming over whole. Therefore, we're getting that nice big impact of flavor in the early years. So, it's there's a lot of different things going on in there. I think that one of the main thing is the quality of the spirit, and the wood is key to get those flavor profiles at a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. The Burret is very smooth, honey, sweet and lush. The kind of dram I could sip in a leather armchair by a roaring fire at the end of a winter's day. Perfect. There you go. So
very nice.
For me, I mean, we're currently it's really hot in here. I'm like, I get into that. Are you hot, Jess?
No, I'm actually a bit cold, but windows open.
Okay,
I was also going to say, I love how like we started this in the daylight, and now we're all just like sitting in the dark.
Yeah, this is making me warmer. Colin Barthgate, I'm a fan of the Mackay Bay and the Snake. There's a similarity, a house style maybe. That's what you were talking about, George. That kind of freshness is definitely what I seem.
Yeah,
we're talking about.
I think that they're all 50 ppm for one. All the same spirit, distillation style, and the difference will come from the casks. Is the only difference you get. They're all similar age, Mackay Bay, Saneg, and the batch strength. It's just the makeup of the casks that brings out whole different flavor profiles as well.
I love that, because then you try them together and it's like a proper like learning experience.
Yeah, and the interesting thing now is, the distillery was set up in a way to release younger whiskies. Whereas last year we released a 16-year-old. We plan to release older whiskies in the next year or so. So we're having to use we're filling a lot of refills and second fill casks now to be able to push that maturation out a little bit further. And people keep on asking us where the sweet spot is. And we're not actually 100% sure where the sweet spot hits at the moment, because we've only been going since 2005. And the casks from 2005, I think we have 6 left. So not a huge amount of them. So we're just, at that point now where we're just sort of toying and playing with the maturation to see where the sweet spot is.
I mean, it's all sweet spot at this point.
It's all a sweet spot, yeah. Steve Coleman Williams is saying, once you get past the smoke, this dram reminds me of old nightly walk along the prom in the winter. Where did you live, Steve Coleman Williams? Are you just walking along the prom in the winter? That's not what I did growing up in Watford. Has a shock to it, but calming and soothing at the same time. Steve, how do you do? Sorry, is Andy okay? Very quiet this month. Personally, am I quiet? I'm fine, thank you, Steve. Steve Coleman Williams. There's a question coming up soon, peeps. Yep.
Any questions? Now's your time, because we are overrunning.
Yeah, Simon. Oh, this is going to be a tough month. Okay, they're all ready. Okay. I
was just going to say one last thought, which was that not a single one of these whiskies has been age statement. And I kind of love that, because it's just like emphasizing everything that we were talking about, like cask and barley and fermentation and all the other things going behind the scenes. And we just haven't really talked about age at all. And I really like it.
No, it is an interesting thing. Let the spirit do the talking.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you very much, George.
Absolute pleasure.
Kilchoman with us. It's been wonderful to talk to you. I'm very aware of the time, because we still have 2 drams left, and I'm not going to be drinking those. Jess.
No, I think after all of those 50+%.
If you guys want to drink them now, obviously fine. If you want to save them for later or another date, please do. But anyway, thank you very much, George, and hopefully see you at the end.
Yes.
Thank you for talking to us. Cheers. What were we doing next?
Well, we could have a very quick fire run through of the last 2 drams, but yeah, absolutely no pressure to drink them. I'll kick off with a relatively new release, actually, from That Boutique Whiskey Company, which is it's a core release from That Boutique Whiskey Company, which, if you know them, which we have had them on Pour and Sip before, they are an independent bottler that only does limited runs. And they have a new core range, which, as the name suggests, is always around. So this is the Islay 8-year-old. We can't tell you where it's from, but it is award-winning. The best small batch Islay single malt of 2024 from Whisky Magazine's World Whisky Awards, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it was released at the end of last year, and you can buy them in 70 centilitre bottles, which is also a change from the old limited runs. So if you love it, you can get even more of it. So yeah, it's sort of just like a very lovely staple Islay whiskey to have in your house and reach for whenever you feel like a bit of a smoky dram.
Yeah, look forward to trying that one. And the last one's like a bit of a curveball, really. It sounds a bit weird talking about it now, but it's the Tomatin limited edition single malt release, which was done like the end of last year, and it's part of their Italian range. They've released 3 now red wine cask finished whiskies. The first 2 were Amarone and Marsala, and now this is the Barolo release. And Barolo is one of those wines that I suppose people consider the king of wines, made with the very hard to utilize grapes, the Nebbiolo grapes. In Piedmont, that's what I know about Barolo. Apart from it's good. And this was distilled back in December 2010. It spent over a decade in ex-bourbon casks before being moved to Barolo casks, ex-Barolo casks, for 2 years of a finish, which is quite a long finish. I had a little sip earlier. Lots and lots of red fruit, red grapes, and cranberries. I actually really liked that one. So you guys will really like that one, and it's a really nice dram to drink with this in mind, it's a little bit different. So maybe one to drink not after all of this, but another time to truly appreciate. Because after that Mac-Talla and the Batch Strength Kilchoman, I think that might not hit. But anyway, it's still a really, really good dram. So probably one to save. And
yes, yeah, do not overlook it.
Do not overlook it is what I'm saying. Love a red wine finish. So that's that. Cool. See you later, guys. Cheers.
No, we forgot one thing.
We forgot one thing. So I'm just going to invite our guests back. I've got Bill here and George. George, it's been a really long time. How are you?
I'm good. I have not much has changed.
Yeah. Bill, welcome back.
How you doing?
Yeah, he's lasted the distance.
A hero.
Unfortunately, we've lost Neil. He couldn't manage to make the last the distance. Is that your alarm again, Bill?
It's actually my air fryer.
What were you making?
I actually don't know. That's the kind of thing I put it in, and I need to refer back to it after this call. I think it was some pita breads I put in for a salad.
I think we all need
Very nice.
Yeah.
Welcome to the inside of my life. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
So welcome back, guys. Jess, you can ask the question, but I'm gonna sorry. I'm gonna do it this way. Guys, what was your favorite dram of tonight's box? Please let us know in the comments. Our guests will not be offended.
And one of them isn't here, so definitely.
I thought you were asking us for a minute.
Yeah. George, what was your favorite?
The Laddie Classic.
The Laddie Classic, yeah, absolutely. So please do let us know what your favourite was. Question for you guys. I think, what is your favourite memory of the island on Islay? Bill, start with you.
Sorry, I think I run out of connection there. Sorry, I didn't hear that question. Apologies.
What is your favourite memory of yourself on Islay, on the island that you have?
Probably swimming in Mac-Talla Mara. Probably swimming.
Your connection is going.
To be honest with you.
Oh no! What was it?
Probably swimming in Mac-Talla Bay, to be fair, which is up in your neck of the woods. To be fair, but yeah, obviously that's probably my best memory.
At what time were you doing that swimming?
Like 7 a.m. I got dragged to do it. Got dragged out of bed.
Yeah. It's just I honestly, my whole there was a lot of trepidation about that particular experience when I did it. I suppose it's a way to wake you up. Let's put it.
Yeah, it's beautiful beaches in Scotland, but then you take photos and everyone's wearing parka jackets and scarves. So
yeah, exactly. And what about yourself, George? You must have a hell of a lot. But
I was going to say it's quite hard to pinpoint one. I mean, two stand out is when the Spirit ran for the first time in December 2005. And then actually probably latterly, now I've got kids, is them getting excited about going to the distillery. I mean, my daughter is only, she'll be 5 next month, sorry. And she's already excited about going to the distillery, which is quite nice.
Nice.
I'm not sure why she's excited.
What is this, Daddy?
But it's quite nice to see her genuine excitement when we go there. So those are my two favourite memories.
That's really sweet. I've managed to make my 3-year-old son. He can pass me a dram from my back bar at the moment. If I ask him for the Glen Moray or the Dalmore, he knows which ones to get. But I'm not training him at a young age. I really don't recommend it. It's not with it, but he doesn't really know what it is. So, Jess, do you want to start reading these out?
Yes.
I'm going back to
It does seem like
Jeffster.
Well, yeah. So Jeffster says, well done, pour and sip. So you're welcome. A wonderful selection this month. Mac-Talla so far, but still to try the remaining 2. Steve Coleman Williams. I want to say Mac-Talla, but I think the Kilchoman has pipped it to the post. David Woolcock, Kilchoman for me with Mac-Talla close second. Steve Hadidi, very nice Tomatin Barolo cask, takes away from the peat. He's gone for it. He's had a 4th dram. Pexman says Kilchoman number 1, Mac-Talla close second. Clive Hampton. It's like being asked to choose your favourite child. I love them all. They give an extra cuddle to Mac-Talla. That is so good.
Everyone says that about a favourite child. They ask me, and I'm like, I absolutely know who my favourite child is. 100%. I struggle to say. It's fine.
I think I'm the favourite child.
You were the
I
favourite.
don't have children, so I bestowed it upon myself.
I just think it's nonsense. I know who it is. Yeah, carry on.
Simon says Kilchoman for me tonight, but an amazing box. Bill Boinger, fave for today, Mac-Talla, Kilchoman close second. Greg Buick, Mac-Talla for me this month. He's a West Coast Scotland native and loves the waves of peat and smoke. Malcolm Tucker, if I have to pick one, I'll go for the Kilchoman. Jeffster, Mac-Talla, Anthony Mullins, Classic Laddie. Yes. It
got in there. I think that was, in Eurovision where you just don't want to go up first because everyone just every time they've forgotten it. It's the bad spot. Sorry, Bill, but it's just, guys, it was an amazing drink.
Maybe it's because everyone's tried it before.
For me, it was Kilchoman all day long. To be fair, that was bloody delicious. It's really, really good.
Yeah, that's good. Keep coming in. Where did you get to there, Jess?
Jeremy Anderson said Mac-Talla, Colin Bathgate, all lovely drams, but very partial to the Kilchoman. P. Barrett, Kilchoman. Richard Wingrove, Kilchoman. And then Steve Corn-Williams just said that this is the highlight of his month as always. Oh, Steve Howdy Classic Laddie. Bang, 2 votes.
There you go, a pity vote at the end.
Kilchoman might have swept the floor though.
Well, yeah, that has been a wonderful box this month. Thank you to all our guests for joining. It's been absolutely wonderful. It'll be a while before I get the peat taste out of my mouth, but
I've got this much to finish and I can't wait.
It's just so good. It's actually brought me back in. I've not been drinking all that much peaty whiskey recently, and this has really reignited my love for peaty whiskey. So I'm going to head for that Lefroy Cask Strength after this. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next time, which is at some point in June.
Yeah. Don't ask me when. We'll let you know.
Thursday in June, we'll see you there. But thank you, Bill. Thank you, George. Thank you,
guys. Thank you.
And
thank you so much.
See you again soon. Cheers.